People's top of the morning. It is Friday, December 8th, and I am here with your geopolitical news. Al Jazeera reports there's an interview I'm going to give you guys a brief listen to. I think this is of importance, so you guys need to hear this. Thank you very much for inviting me. After the October 7th attacks, Israel launched a devastating counteroffensive in Gaza. It caused unprecedented levels of destruction and, of course, civilian deaths. Now, one of the great concerns from the international community, from human rights organizations, and indeed from other nations, has been that Israel has not followed the rules of war, particularly this question of proportionality right now. For every Hamas soldier killed, there have been at least two civilians in Gaza killed. Does that seem like an acceptable ratio? No, it's not acceptable, and this is why we think that Hamas is making crimes against humanity by fighting within civilian population, something that cannot not allowed by the international law. The fact that Hamas is using human shield, women, children, and old people to defend itself by fighting from their houses and from their streets, and don't let these people to go out of the area of the battlefield. No question that it is a crime against humanity, and Hamas should be punished. And even more than that, we gave the population time to leave the area, and we designated safe havens, and Hamas blocked the way to those safe havens. So now, if you listen to what this former Israeli general was saying, you can see from the way that he's talking that he is basically blaming Hamas for the innocent civilian casualties that has been happening in Gaza. So their whole ideology is Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. It is Hamas that is at the fault of so many innocent civilians' deaths. And it's like, I beg to differ because I come from the United States of America. And I don't pretend or profess to know what goes on inside the military industrial complex. But there is a certain sense of pride being an American, especially being an American soldier. So let's continue to listen. By that, push the civilians into the battlefield. So you're saying that Israel's killing of Palestinian civilians is a war crime committed by Hamas and not by Israel? I mean, you're basing that argument, if I understand you correctly, on the like make it make sense. It's almost laughable, and I can only gather that that's why his expression, the news anchor's expression is the way that it is because you're almost blaming the war crimes on Hamas, but you're the one pushing the button and sending the bombs into Gaza. So it's Hamas's fault and not your fault for doing the bombing. Let's continue. Idea that Hamas is using human shields. Now, first, that has not been proven by any human rights organization. In fact, even if what you're saying is true, that doesn't absolve you of your responsibility to avoid killing civilian targets. You can't just say, well, they're. Look at this guy's face. You got a smile on your face with all of the death and destruction. You have the nerve to have a smile on your face when someone is challenging your position. They're hiding among civilians, so we're going to kill civilians. And you can't just say, well, it's Hamas's fault. Okay. First of all, as you know, and everyone can see, we found the Hamas operational centers and the hospitals in Gaza. So if this is not a human shield, I don't know what human shield is. We have pictures of Hamas. That has not been. That has not been. That hasn't been. A human shield
is, someone shooting and someone grabs a person or persons and either hides behind them or puts them in front of them as to have them receive the brunt of the assault. And none of this has been proven. So this is all hearsay, and this is what we as a people are supposed to believe. We're just supposed to believe everything that we hear, especially coming from the side of the ones that's doing the killing and contributing to the death and destruction of the Palestinian people.
Proven, sir. No, I don't believe. My friends were there, so I don't need your improvement. But you haven't offered the world. You haven't offered the world any proof. I want you to finish your answer, but I just want to be clear for the audience's benefit that under international law, to change the status of a hospital to a military target, the burden of proof is on Israel to demonstrate that it is a Hamas command center. It's not enough to say there's a Hamas fighter there. It's not enough to say there's a few members of Hamas there. To change the status, you got to prove that, and you can't just say take my word for it. Just for clarity's sake, what?
And that's exactly what's been happening. The Western news media outlets, United States government and all its Western allies, this is the propaganda that they've been pushing on the American people and the people of the West. They want us to believe what it is that they say with no proof at all, not an ounce of proof. So you got Israeli generals going into hospitals, showing us images of rusty firearms that couldn't have possibly been used for anything. Like, who are you fooling?
Where's the evidence? Who has proven this? Please let me answer the answer. We found under the hospital's center of command of Hamas, and if you want pictures, you can ask the spokesman of the IDF. We sent you many of them. We found weapon systems under the hospital, and we know for sure that at least one hostess was killed in the hospital by Hamas people. It's not the only hospital under which there are command and control headquarters of Hamas. We have pictures of.
I'm sorry, everything he just said, it sounded like he was mumbling. It sounds like a bunch of rhetoric. Like it doesn't even sound real or plausible. A man is sitting there and asking you to present evidence of war crimes, what you're saying is war crimes, and you're stuttering. You're not even able to give direct answers. This is what we found here. This is who we found here. This is what we found over here. This is what we found over here. This is what we discovered. You're not giving direct answers. You're being very intricate in your responses, which would lead one to believe that you're lying.
Hamas people going with children around them, so we cannot kill them. If you want the picture, I will send you. And the fact, and please, and the fact you don't. I'm not. I know that you will not show it. I know your network. You will not show it anyhow. And the fact that we are killing civilians, well, what is the alternative? That we will not kill any civilian and we cannot fight Hamas because Hamas is fighting from behind the civilians. So they are.
And so, as you can see, they've already accepted this trade off. They've already accepted the casualty rate as it relates to each member of Hamas that they are able to either capture or kill.
Alternative not to kill civilians, meaning the practical meaning of it is not to kill Hamas. It's to let Hamas to rule the Gaza Strip after this declaration of war and atrocities and primitive and barbarian action which was done by Hamas. And you tell me, General, because they're hiding so nicely behind civilians and you cannot kill civilians, so they will be immune. We are not buying the logic. And we will continue to destroy Hamas. And if the payment will be paid by the civilians of Gaza, they can apply to Hamas. Hamas is there. Hamas was.
So they will continue. All that means is that they will continue the destruction. They will continue the bombardment of the Gaza Strip. They will continue the killing and the destruction of Palestine. And the trade-off is casualties, and they're willing to accept that. That's fine with them. Women, children, babies, elderly, doesn't matter. If they're there and we're hunting Hamas, then so be it.
Elected by them, and they can apply to Hamas and ask Hamas to find to stop the war. By the way, if they surrender, immediately we will not kill any civilian. 44%, a little more than 44% of the Palestinian people voted for Hamas. As a plurality in 2006. About half of the Palestinian population right now is under 18, meaning that most people in Gaza absolutely did not vote for Hamas. That's also just factually incorrect. You're So
now, think about the numbers that he just said. More than half of Gaza is the youth. More than half of Gaza is under the age of 20 years old. I'm going to stop this video right here. You guys can go to Al Jazeera News and check the rest of this video out if you want to see this content. Not only do I see this individual as a complete bozo, but I see him as being somebody who is completely detached from not just reality, but detached from the human race. Because that is the only way that you can justify what it is that you're doing. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this situation. Is he a coward? Is the Israeli army cowards? Let me know how you feel about this situation. Always remember, stay vigilant, stay safe. Peace.